My wife divorced me and went on a vacation with her affair partner, assuming she will still get a part from my parents' huge trust fund. And, oh boy, the look on her face when she returned and realized that she isn't getting anything but a new lawsuit instead. Hi, I'm Aaron, 30 male. So I'm just going to try putting it all down here. For all my life, I've known that my friends were friends with me because, according to them, I'm the trust fund baby. They always tried getting close to me because they thought that I'd be throwing lavish parties all around the world and sponsoring booze at parties. They always left me when I turned out to be nothing like that. It's true my parents have a huge trust fund for me, but I know how hard they worked for it, and I know that the wealth wasn't built in a day. One mistake could absolutely ruin my father's company, so I work hard every freaking day. I work hard to expand what my father started, but recently I was very close to making that one mistake. Ashley, the love of my life, my wife Ashley, 28, female. Throughout college, I didn't date anybody. I'm not the type who dates or hooks up with women casually. I always wanted to date to marry. But when the news about my parents' wealth spread, I attracted all the wrong kinds of company. You see, when you have money, you become popular and people want to live off of you. I did lend money to some of my friends and sponsored the occasional booze, but nothing extravagant, nothing that people expect from a trust fund baby. I believe that doing something in moderation isn't bad and in fact is important because you need to be a part of society too. So I tried being in everyone's good books but rarely trusted anybody. During my graduation party, I met Ashley. She didn't seem to know me and I started casually talking to her, and we really hit it off instantly. We exchanged phone numbers and on our first date, I took her to McDonald's and we had the time of our life. She didn't seem to mind that the first date wasn't anything fancy and I fell in love. Ashley was the first love of my life. She wasn't boring and didn't seem to be trying hard to impress me. She was just being herself. Also, she was really smart with her. I felt normal and seemed to get an image beyond my money. After 1 month of dating, when I took her to meet my parents, she didn't act surprised at all and seemed to accept that I was rich with nothing but neutrality. I took that as a positive sign that my wealth didn't faze her at all. At that time it didn't occur to me that she probably wasn't surprised because that was part of her plan from day one and that she absolutely knew who I was and knew how I wasn't dating anybody. So winning me over was all a carefully crafted strategy. She was full of elegance during her meeting with my parents, she was charming and I was head over heels in love. She was the first girl I ever brought home and my parents were very excited for me. We dated for a year and during that time she never accepted any costly gifts from me. Her reason for refusing was simply that we weren't married yet. I proposed to her after a year. She was an absolute sweetheart to my parents. She told my parents that she only had one request, that they never asked her to leave her work because she wanted to work to expand our fortune. My mother hugged her and said that they were glad I had found such a supportive wife. Ashley worked in an IT company and made a decent amount of money herself. On our second anniversary, my parents hosted a party. There they announced that they wanted to give a gift to Ashley and proposed including her name as a beneficiary along with me. They went around introducing Ashley to everybody including Bob, the trustee. He was an accountant on behalf of the company that looked after the legalities of the funds and investments. He was married and had a daughter. His wife was a lawyer in the same firm. Everything was taken care of and my wife's name was included as one of the beneficiaries. Ashley bonded really well with my parents and was always doing her best to keep them happy. She also worked and traveled a lot for her job. Later on I'd come to know that she was traveling with her affair partner whenever my parents threw a party. She was always eager to attend and looked stunning on countless occasions at such parties. I've seen her talking to Rob in a corner, laughing a little too much, blushing with wine in her hand. And as stupid and blind in love as I was, it never once occurred to me that I should suspect her of having an affair with Rob. But all this time though those two were having an affair behind my back, looking back at it I'm surprised at Ashley. She's an absolute pro actor. She treated each of us so well that the mere thought of ever suspecting her seemed blasphemous, but she was just biding her time. Almost 7 years into our marriage, my parents passed away within 6 months of each other. I absolutely immersed myself in my work because it was just too difficult to deal with all the emotions when you also have to keep the company running, and that was the first time in years when Ashley started showing her true colors. After the funeral, she was distant. I thought maybe she was dealing with grief in her own way and tried giving her space. She didn't say one word to me about my parents passing away or ask how I was. I thought it was strange but secretly blamed myself for being unable to talk about how I felt either. About 2 weeks passed before I decided to get home early from work and talk it out with Ashley. I bought a bunch of pink roses on my way back. I had my own key so I let myself in and came face to face with Rob. I was confused so I asked him if he came to talk to me about the trust or something. Ashley came out from behind with 2 suitcases. It was then I noticed that even Rob had 2 suitcases. Ashley looked at me and said, "Oh dang. I meant to do this quietly. I was meaning to leave a note and let you know that I'm moving out but I guess we have to do it face to face now." "Yeah, so I'm leaving you." "Yep, you heard that right. And yeah, I'm moving in with Rob after we return from our vacation in Italy. Your parents made sure that I'll get enough money to afford it. Also, we're divorcing. Rob is also going to file for divorce now. Now don't look like a forlorn puppy. Are those flowers for me? I'll take them, thanks. Ciao." They were out of the door even before I could ask her to wait. I heard the engine revving up and then silence. Just like that my wife of 7 years left me. Have you ever heard the expression about the world crashing down in front of you? Well, that best describes what I felt. For 2 days, I didn't leave the house, I didn't open the blinds, I was surviving on refrigerated food and then cup noodles. I never turned the TV off because I was scared of the silence. I didn't even feel like bathing. On the 3rd day someone rang the doorbell and I thought if I didn't open the door they'd probably go away eventually, but that didn't happen. The bell kept on ringing and whoever it was pressing the bell harder and longer with each go. 10 minutes went by and still the ringing didn't stop. Now there was someone banging on the door. I heard a woman's voice say, "I know you're in there. Open up right now. I'm not leaving till I talk to you for a minute." I thought it was Ashley, but then remembered that she was vacationing in Italy with Rob. This thought brought a fresh wave of sadness over me, but the knocking and banging wasn't stopping, so I dragged myself out of bed and started unlocking the door. I opened the door to find a red-haired woman in a two-piece suit. She looked like she would bite my head off. She said, "Your wife ran away with my husband. Sitting here being a wuss won't help anybody, so get up, go take a bath and get yourself in the living room in 15 minutes. We have to talk about a lot of things." When I didn't respond, she let herself in and looked me straight in the eye and said, "What? You stink." Before heading to the bathroom, I said, "Okay, Mom," and she screamed back, "I heard that." Despite myself, I laughed. I started feeling a little human after my bath. When I returned to the living room, it was spotless, and so was the kitchen. Update: Sandra, Rob's wife, introduced herself. She told me that she had been trying to reach me at my office for the last 2 days but couldn't get through, so she finally decided to show up at my doorstep. She meant business. I couldn't believe what she was telling me. Sandra said that, like me, she didn't suspect that Rob was cheating on her, and she only found out when he left the house 2 days back and said that he would send his assistant to collect the rest of his things. Like me, her world was shattered too, but she didn't wallow in self-pity. She started digging up dirt. The first thing she did was go through Rob's laptop. He stored his work stuff there, but he had his Facebook logged in. She wasted no time going through his chats and finding out with whom he was having an affair, and once she was sure, she swooped like a hawk. She had gone through every document related to my trust fund and was pretty sure that Rob was taking out money for his own use. It started small so that it went unnoticed, but eventually, he had become bold and careless because he was being aided by one of the beneficiaries, who was none other than Ashley. A part of me wished that she was lying, but she wasn't. Sandra had all the proof and was ready to take them down. I was still hesitating when Sandra said, "I have a little daughter. I will wring out every single penny from Rob, and I will absolutely wreck Ashley. I don't care what you think, I just wanted to inform you. You don't have to be a part of it if you don't want to." I saw how determined and confident she was, and I instantly knew I could trust this woman, so I was on board. We shook hands. As my ex-wife was vacationing in Italy, we were hatching a plan that was going to cost her dearly. Ashley and Rob were back from their 10-day trip to Italy. Sandra and I were waiting for their call because we wanted to see what their reactions would be when the penny dropped. It was a Monday when I was at work, and I received a call from Ashley. As soon as I picked up, she launched into a rant. "What the hell is happening? What does Rob mean that we're in trouble, and where's my money?" I said, "You mean my parents' money that Rob was using to buy you gifts and probably that apartment you've moved into? I hope you heard from my lawyer. It's Sandra, Rob's wife, who, by the way, also works for the firm." I told her I had to go and hung up before she could say a single word. When I got out of work that day, Ashley was waiting outside. Told by anything. She asked me to explain things to her because apparently, Rob's anxious retelling of the events wasn't making sense, and she wanted to hear it from me in layman's terms. I told her that I had heard from her lawyer about the divorce filing, the only thing being that she wasn't going to get a single penny. Oh boy, the look on her face. Never in her wildest dreams did she think this could be happening. I could see the panic grow inside her. I was filled with sadistic pleasure, and in the next moment, an overwhelming sense of guilt for putting her in this situation. I still loved her, and it's difficult to watch the person you love getting hurt. I had to get out of there quickly so that she couldn't manipulate me. I walked past her and started moving towards my car. I heard her screaming from behind. She was asking me to stop. The last thing I heard before I got in the car was, "How could you do this to me?" It felt like a stab, and I wanted to lash out so badly and say that I could ask her the same damn question, but instead, I got in my car and drove off. I could see her looking after the car, absolutely bewildered, in my rearview mirror. Meanwhile, Rob had been served with a notice that he was going to be terminated from the company. He was spoiling the reputation of the company, and apparently, the news had leaked, and a lot of clients had called asking to terminate their contracts. So the best the company